This review was made possible by the Yojo Outlet Center, specializing in vintage G.I. Joe toys and parts.
Hello everyone, I'm Kevin, otherwise known as Form DX257, here to bring you another 1980s and 90s G.I. Joe tour review. And I'm going to be taking a look at the Cobra Snow Trooper, the 1991 Snow Serpent, better known to collectors as Snow Serpent version 2. Now, the Snow Serpent debuts his new outfit in the old Marvel comic run of G.I. Joe in issue number 136. And you see Snow Serpents in their new outfits in animated form in the 1990s DiC animated G.I. Joe series, the Season 1 episode titled The No Zone Conspiracy.
Like a lot of figures from 1990 and 1991, the new version of the Snow Serpent comes with a lot of accessories. We'll take a look at one of his weapons. His pistol. And as you can see, the pistol is actually hooked up via this short 3-inch standard G.I. Joe wire up to his backpack. Take a look at his pistol. It was hooked on with this peg at the base of the grip. It's all wrapped up there. And take a look at his other armament, which is similarly hooked up by a long standard G.I. Joe hose there to a peg on the grip again. I'm not sure if this is actually based on anything. It does look a bit like an AK-47, I assume, but there's so much detail which is hidden because of the wrapping. Now, if you're wondering what the wrapping and the hose was for, that's actually explained on the file card. On the on the file card here. That's actually providing heat to the weapons so that they don't freeze up in the Arctic temperatures. Take a look at his rocket launcher. Of course, this is a spring-loaded mechanism. So you just pull this thing down. The peg which went into the hole on the top of his backpack is actually slim enough that he can actually hand hold it. So he can actually hold it like a rocket launcher if you don't want it hooked onto the backpack. And there is a reason why it's actually removable like that. Take a look at the missile as well. It only came with one of these spring-loaded missiles. His backpack, which I'll just leave on for now. So a lot of nice little technical detail on the top here. Of course, this also doubles as a heater pack for his suit and his weapons. And now we'll take a look at his jet snowboard. With a nice little snake design on the front there, with two tiny little fangs on the bottom as well, although it's relatively smooth, as it should be, on the bottom. And these two are jet thrusters. One of the reasons why I left the backpack on is because you can store the jet snowboard on here. Just hooks on like that. And while this is sort of angled outwards, it's also a little bit difficult to put the rocket launcher back in this hole without it being completely sideways now. So that's one of the reasons why I think they made the peg so that it was slim enough to double as a handle for the figure's hand. And now the moment everyone's been dreading, I compare the 1991 Snow Serpent to the 1985 original. Now, keep in mind that the original Snow Serpent is one of my top 10 favorite Cobra Troopers. So this guy has some very big shoes to fill, in my opinion. Does he fill them? Well, not quite, but he's still an excellent figure. Sure, the colors are nowhere near the same, so it's not like you can say, oh well, he's an evolution of one or the other. It's not really that clear. you can totally use this guy as maybe a recon Snow Serpent, a sort of a specialist, an outbranch of the regular Snow Serpents. I mean, with his board, he can be a recon guy. Just take away maybe his rifle and his missile launcher, and he just has his small pistol for close quarters combat or something like that. I mean, you have to remember that there was a heavy emphasis on the original to be a paratrooper. So maybe this guy doesn't have that qualification, but has all the other qualifications of being a snow trooper. So if the only thing that was carried over from the original Snow Serpent was the AK-47 rifle and the rocket launcher, where exactly does the new Snow Serpent get his design influences from? I mean, clearly this guy is an Arctic trooper, so you would think that he would carry over from somebody, and he does, just not from this version of the Snow Serpent. Now, this guy came out in 1985, and this guy came out 6 years later, so of course there is a Cobra Arctic Trooper in between this, and that is the 1987 Cobra Wolf Driver Ice Viper. I think this is where a lot of the influences from the 1991 Snow Serpent actually come from. I mean, sure, that boogie board was actually part of the Cobra Wolf, but you can totally write it, and, well, maybe that's where that comes from. As well as this guy's bright white suit, as well as the thick brown leather parts on him. Again, that's quite a lot like what we have on the new version. As well as how his boots are kind of cuffed with fur there, just like the new version as well. We also have the face covering here instead of a hard mask like the Snow Serpent, and that's what's carried over. A Snow Serpent version 2 was fairly easy to find on the aftermarket, and it shouldn't be really that expensive either, despite the fact that it does come with 8 separate little pieces. It's maybe a little bit higher than normal because of how many pieces yet you have, but there's really only 2 things that you have to look out for on the aftermarket, and that is, of course, it has a lot of bright white plastic which easily yellows. So that's something that you do have to look out for, whether or not you're getting one which is fairly, bright white. The other thing you have to worry about is whether the pegs on the backpack are still here. Sometimes these crack off. And, well, quite frankly, you don't have to specifically add the wires to your backpack. You can just have the figure holding the weapons just as normal. But it's just something to look out for if you want a perfectly mint example. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind-the-scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.